Constable! Are you a local man?
Born and bred, sir. Not half a mile from here.
Excellent. And perhaps you can offer me some local knowledge.
I'll do my best, sir. I'll most certainly do my best. Holmes?
I'll do that straight away.
Lestrade did say that no documents had been removed.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
You found something?
No, it's what I haven't found that interests me. There are certain cross-references to various deeds, valuable deeds, none of which I can find. But one thing is clear. Oldacre was hardly in the affluent circumstances we have been led to believe. His bank account was practically empty, largely because he had made several large payments in the past year to a certain Mr. Cornelius. Young McFarlane would have inherited nothing.
This is of interest. Why should a retired builder have such large transactions with a Mr. Cornelius?
Well, let's take our cab and see what we can find out from his city bank. You coming?
I'll stay here for a while.
Norwood Station.
So you're not going back to London with your friend, then?
No. Not yet, anyway. I do hope my presence doesn't inconvenience you. Oh, by the way, I should warn you, I found an undesirable lurking about by the gates. I saw him off...
Undesirable?
A tramp, Mrs. Lexington, a gentleman of the road.
They'll get nothing here.
Ah. You don't believe in supporting our less fortunate brethren?
I work, so can they.
Quite so. I'm on my way to Folkestone.
I've done enough walking, I have. I'll find some place and I'll stay put.
I used to meet a friend of mine here. Oh, you might know him. He's a seafaring man.
Aye. I know him. Shared my billet for the last 4 nights, he does. And off he goes, without even a word. You take my tip. Steer clear of him. He's a liar.
Didn't strike me as such.
He goes up to that big house, he does. Comes back here and tells some yarn about them putting out with open hands and telling him to come back tomorrow and they'll give him some grub and some cast-offs for him.
Well, how's that lying?
Because, my friend, I'd already paid my call and nearly got the law on my back for my insolence. Insolence.
Perhaps he told him a pleasing tale.
Are you saying that a drunken sailor has more to offer than the sergeant in the 22nd?
Oh, no.
No. He's a liar. He says, whatever I get, he says, I'll share with you, shipmate, he says. Off he goes. Not a sight of him since.
Holmes? You must permit yourself some food. You must eat.
At present, I cannot afford energy and nerve force for digestion.
Well, you must if you intend to pursue this case.
I fear, my dear fellow, that our case will end ingloriously by Lestrade hanging our client. Which will certainly be a triumph for Scotland Yard. There's a telegram.
Important fresh evidence to hand. MacFarlane's guilt definitely established. Advise you to abandon case Lestrade.
It is Lestrade's little cockadoodle of victory.
Let's have some breakfast. And then go out together and see what we can do.
I feel as if I shall need your company and moral support today.
Ah, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson. I think you will acknowledge that we're just a little in front of you this time. Step this way, if you please, gentlemen, and I'm sure I can convince you that it was John MacFarlane who committed this crime. I don't like being wrong any more than the rest of us do. Still, a man can't always expect to have it his own way. Can he, Dr. Watson? This is where the housekeeper left MacFarlane's hat and stick, and this is also where he would have come to collect his hat after the crime was committed. Now look at this. A thumb mark.
So I observe.
A thumb mark in blood. You are aware that no two thumb marks are alike.
I have heard something of the kind.
Identical. And that was taken from MacFarlane this morning.
Definitely the same thumb mark.
And that is final.
Quite final.
Who made this discovery?
It was Mrs. Lexington here who drew my constable's attention to it.
And I suppose there is no doubt that the mark was there yesterday.
Well, of course, McFarlane could have crept out of jail in the middle of the night just to strengthen the evidence against himself.
Have you any objection if I take a stroll upstairs?
No, none at all. There's nothing up there, though.
Sorry things look so bad, Holmes.
But there is a serious flaw in this new evidence.
What's that?
That thumbprint was not there when I examined the hall yesterday. Inspector Lestrade, I cannot help thinking your evidence is incomplete.
What do you mean, Mr. Holmes?
Only that there is an important witness that you have not yet seen.
You can produce this witness, can you?
I think I can.
Well, then do so.
I'll do my best. How many constables have you?
3 within call.
Excellent. I assume that they are able-bodied, large men with powerful voices.
No doubt that they are, yeah.
In the outhouse, there is a quantity of straw, and I would like 2 bundles brought in.
Straw?
And 2 buckets of water.
Water?
Ask them to bring it to the top landing, will you? The straw into the fireplace, a little bit in front. 2 buckets of water to that side, please, Constable.
Mr. Holmes. I don't know whether you're playing a game with us, but surely you tell us without all this tomfoolery.
I can assure you, Lestrade, I have an excellent reason for everything that I do. Watson, would you put a match to that straw? And Constable, will you sprinkle it with water? Now, we must see if we can find this witness for you, Lestrade. Gentlemen. Would you please join me in the call of fire? 1, 2, 3. Fire!
Fire!
We can do better than that. Full voice and together.
Fire!
Constable, a bucket of water on that straw. Lestrade, allow me to present you with your missing principal witness, Mr. Jonas Oldacre.
What's this, then? What have you been doing all this time?
I've done no harm.
No harm? You've only done your best to get an innocent man hanged. Listen, if it wasn't for this gentleman standing here, I'm not sure you wouldn't have succeeded. Take him.
Let us see where this rat has been lurking. Now, you see the advantage of being a builder. He was able to fix up his own little hiding place without any confederate. Save for that precious housekeeper of his, whom I should lose no time in adding to your bag, Inspector.
And these are the missing papers, no doubt.
No doubt whatsoever.
Constable, find the housekeeper. How did you know about that place, Mr. Holmes?
When I compared the proportions of this room with those of the room below, I deduced that this fireplace wall was false. Oldacre clearly had a great deal of nerve, but not enough, I fancy, to lie quiet before an alarm of fire.
How in the world did you know that he was in the house at all?
The thumb mark, Lestrade. When I examined the hall yesterday, it was clear. Therefore, it must have been put there during the night.
But how?
After MacFarlane had examined the papers that night, he resealed them. To do so, he used his thumb upon the wax. Brooding in that den of his, it suddenly struck Oldacre what use he could make of that thumbprint. Smearing the wax with a little blood, he made what appeared to be absolutely damning evidence against MacFarlane.
But what was the object of his deception?
Ah, well, you see, Inspector, in order to swindle his creditors who were pressing him, Oldacre emptied his bank account by paying out several large sums to a certain Mr. Cornelius. Now, I have no doubt that Messrs. Oldacre and Cornelius are one and the same person, the object being to change his name, draw on the money, and then vanish.
We see before us a very deep, malicious and vindictive man. Did you know that he was once refused by MacFarlane's mother? All his life he has longed for vengeance. If he could give the impression that he was murdered by the only child of his former sweetheart, what more bitter revenge?
I would never have allowed any real harm to befall poor Mr. MacFarlane, I assure you.
That's for the jury to decide.
You're charging me for a joke? It's nothing more than a practical joke.
It was nothing less than murder. The body in the fire.
But whose body was it?
An old sailor, Lestrade, who had fallen upon hard times. When I examined the ashes of that fire, I discovered that your experts had missed this. It is a tooth of the great white shark. And you see that it has been lightly carved. It is typical of the work carried out by seamen.
Well, this isn't evidence enough to show who died in the fire.
I know for certain that on Monday, the day before the murder, a tramp called at this house. Yet when I questioned the housekeeper, she assured me that no such tramp would ever be welcome. Not only was his reception welcoming, but the man received some of Oldacre's clothing. Yesterday, near the front gate, I found the calling card that he left, a coded sign advising his fellow travelers of a charitable welcome. And last night, with the help of your local constable, I talked to one of these fellow travelers, who said that the unfortunate seaman had been asked to call back the following day with the assurance of further hospitality. And so, the next morning, wearing his new clothes, or at least his new trousers, he returned and was never seen again.
You've saved an innocent man's life, Mr. Holmes. You've also saved me some embarrassment.
Ah, my good chap. You will find that your reputation has been enormously enhanced. Just make a few alterations to that report which you are writing, and they will understand how hard it is to throw dust in the eyes of Inspector Lestrade.
You don't want your name to appear?
Not at all.
His work is its own reward.
See you hanged for this.
That privilege must surely be mine.